Hi students, this is your video for the week of September 21st. I wanted to show you what you need to do this week and go over an upcoming essay that I will talk about a couple different times over the next 2 weeks. Today I just want to give you a brief overview. So, first things first, you need to go into modules. Now, in previous modules, I did go ahead and put links down throughout the module. I've decided that is really clunky in terms of finding things. So what I would like you to do is primarily rely on going into the module overview to find your weekly materials. Now, anything supplemental, help with MLA, for example, or things that I think you might find helpful, I'll place here so that you can find them. But I think putting absolutely everything, as I've done here, gets really hard to navigate. So, plus it duplicates the module overview, objectives, and links to episodes and readings. So if you have trouble finding something, please do let me know. And I did go in and make it mandatory that you view that, so hopefully there's no confusion about where you find the materials you need for the week. Okay, so you click on that. We're now in Module 3. As you can see, the focus of this module is going to be thesis statements, paragraphing, and topic sentences. And that addresses some of our, I meant to put them here, I'll go back and do it, some of our objectives for the course, and I'll add those here, but that you would work on argumentation in relation to at least one source. So that's kind of what we're working on in this module, and I'll be sure to go back and put those objectives explicitly in there. So for this week, you need to watch my Week 8 video. You need to listen to Episode 8, the DA. You need to read How to Write a Thesis Statement. And you need to read the assignment sheet, position essay. So it says, building on the skills you used in your exploratory essays, this assignment asks you to take a position on an issue related to true crime and/or the Curtis Lawrence case and defend that position using both at least one source as well as personal observation. By personal observation, I mean whatever you as a writer bring to the table. It can be personal experience, it can be prior knowledge, that kind of thing. While you may use ideas you developed in the exploratory essays, so the first 2 essays that you turned in, there needs to be a clear thesis or argument at this point, and you'll need to expand upon or refine those earlier ideas. So make sure you read that handout on what a thesis statement is, and if you have questions, please do let me know. You will choose your specific topic from one of the questions listed below. You must use at least one of the sources listed below in support of your argument. When I say support, I mean that you can agree, disagree, take a third position, like both agree and disagree with the arguments and or perspectives expressed in your source. And note that some of the sources do not take a particular stand, but they present differing viewpoints. So when you use a source to support, I just mean that it in some way enriches the stance that you're taking, okay? It doesn't mean that you agree with everything in the article or the podcast or whatever it is. So you choose one of these questions, and then your answer will form the basis of your thesis statement, okay? So what makes true crime media ethical or not ethical? So that's one way you could take this assignment. Or you could do, should law enforcement / prosecutors use jailhouse informants? What the podcast refers to as jailhouse snitches. Why or why not? In certain cases, never, right? Just some complications to think about there. And then the $1 million question, who do you think committed the Tardy Furniture murders? Why? So based on what you've heard in the podcast, do you have a theory? Can you support it? Now, I would suggest if you go this route that you have finished listening to the podcast. It's not a requirement, but I think you would be able to make a better case if you had listened to all of it. While you may use the sources, use at least one below to back up your argument, to give you information about the topic, and or to give you an opposing viewpoint to address, you are not writing a direct response. So what I want you to think about is that your argument, your answer to these questions is the main thing, okay? It's not, the source isn't the main thing, if that makes sense. Rather, you should frame your argument as your own and use the source as a source, not as the topic of your essay. So one convention or sort of rule of academic writing is that we kind of play this game of make-believe where we are pretending we just decided to write this assignment. We decided to take a stance on this issue, and then, ooh, we found this source. Obviously, it's arbitrary. Obviously, I'm giving you these sources, but you're kind of buying into the academic framework, the academic convention of defending a position. When you get into more advanced classes in your major, it actually will be more like that, where it's not just, I'm doing this because my professor said so, but my professor gave me maybe a more wide open topic, and then as a matter of course, I supported my ideas with sources. So we're just kind of dipping our toe into that academic discourse at this point. So your options are obviously all of In the Dark Season 2, anything you want to use. The Ethical Dilemma of Highbrow True Crime, and the blog post, Can True Crime Be Ethical and Entertaining? So these are sources you're familiar with, you've written about. You can use any combination of these, obviously, depending on what question you choose up here. Some will be more or less relevant. By the way, when you write your paper, you do not need to state your question. It should be obvious to me when you give your thesis statement which question you're answering, right? So, for example, true crime is ethical under X, Y, and Z circumstances. That thesis would alert me to the fact that you're answering this question, right? Okay. Citations. You will be responsible for coming up with the MLA citation for your source, but I have provided, or sources, but I provided guidance in the modules on how to do so. So I sent you some things last week. There's some links in Module 2, and I'll be putting up some more things this coming week, or over the next week or so, because we've got a while before this is due, that will help you with citation. You do not need to do additional research for this assignment. However, if you do additional research, it is upon you to make sure that you cite those sources. If you don't know how, then you should check in with me. Format, 4 to 5 pages, not including the works cited page. Size 12 times New Roman font, 1-inch margins on all sides, double space. I will grade your essays using the attached rubric. Again, I want to reiterate that you can use material that you came up with in the first 2 papers, but needs to be expanded upon, refined, commit to a position in a way that maybe you didn't in the exploratory essay. So you're not just going to be copying and pasting material there, but may help give you some ideas and maybe even a little bit of material. Okay? The rubric. Let's look at that. So, we're looking for your thesis clearly states your argument. Your evidence is balanced between source material and personal observation. Again, by personal observation, I mean sort of just what you bring to the table, prior knowledge, perspective, personal experience, etc. Essay provides specific textual evidence with correct in-text citations. So you're using those tools that you are now armed with, paraphrase, quotation, summary, to support your ideas. Your essay demonstrates a clear understanding and fair consideration of different sides of the issue. So you're not just saying, you're not just giving one side of a story. You're not just saying, an issue is this or that. You're giving some kind of nuance to the issue that you've chosen. The essay follows a clear organizational pattern. Each paragraph begins with a topic sentence that is a clear subpoint of the thesis. And it looks like it's cut off my last 2 criteria. I'll fix that, but those are MLA citation, okay, and typos and punctuation. I'll fix that and put up a corrected rubric. All right, and those are worth, I believe, 10 points each. 20, 40, 60, 75, 85. That can't be right. So one's 10 and one's 5. I believe the MLA's 10 and the punctuation and typos are 5. So like I said, I'll put up an updated version. Forgive me for that. Okay, so that's all I have for you this week. So you have plenty to work on. This assignment is not due until October 16th, so you'll see we have a lot to build on before then. So in particular, we're going to be working on what are thesis statements. We're working on paragraphing, how to break up your ideas, lead them with topic sentences, okay? And then you'll turn it in at the end of this module on Friday, October 16th. In exchange for my being late on getting this video ready for you, I have decided to not give you a discussion post this week. And that will also allow me to get your papers back to you sooner rather than later. But we'll resume with our weekly discussion posts next week. Okay? So if you have questions, please let me know, and I will see you online. Have a great week.